As we all know, an artificial Pokemon are Pokemon created intentionally or unintentionally by humans or other Pokemon that originally did not exist in the wild. Amongst those are Megamite and Megaton, Grimer and Muk, Voltorb and Electrode, Porygon, Mewtwo, and many others. But did you ever know that there was an experiment that kept secret in obscurity? No? Me neither. I can't tell if this is such a thing or not, but all I do know is that I like computers. Pokemon brains may be invulnerable to hackers, but technology is already allowing scientists to read Pokemon's thoughts and even plant new ones in a brain. The latest interview on Dr. Jonathan Rathbone, the man behind the experiment, explores the potential and dangers of hacking the minds of Pokemon. The experiment was due at the night of June 23rd at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We live in a world of data, Dr. Johnson Rathbone says in the interview. One day soon, our Pokemon's internalized thoughts may no longer be their own. The experiment continues, and we are the trainers who put on the two of some headsets and two separate control sticks so that control their Pokemon. And the Pokemon having these strap-like devices on their heads that will cause them to be controlled by their trainers. The experiment is similar to the virtual reality devices, only these two were used for mind control. One trainer by the name of Tyler, and with a Mew, with one of those users of an ominous device. Tyler then decided to use the device to control Mew. Seeing through the eyes and realizing that as if Tyler was Mew, the Pokemon could do the same facial expression as the trainer, and do the same motions like dancing, spinning, etc. For a while, Tyler began to have so much fun for being Mew's puppet-like master, till when Mew suddenly ran into a tree. Tyler felt the same pain in his head. Dr. Rathbone did mention that once you put on the headset and use the control sticks, your Pokemon will be like your personal voodoo doll, and you could feel the same pain your Pokemon feels, and the same specific spots where your Pokemon is hurting a lot. This is done by the brain waves attaching itself onto the Pokemon, what Dr. Rathbone calls the voodoo effect. The name based on the voodoo practices Haitian and Louisiana folklore. On the day of Friday, Tyler used the device again on Mew, and once again, when they were going to battle with another trainer, Tyler can feel the same pain in the Pokemon whenever they felt that it got hit by an attack. Tyler never gave up though, which brought him to his victory. One day on Sunday, Tyler and his Mew discovered something new. Both they shared their thoughts, and Tyler can hear that Mew was begging for his beloved trainers to stop controlling him, for it's upsetting him. Tyler thought about it and regarded his Pokemon just for a few moments. Then without a single syllable, he then took off his headset and let his Pokemon take a break. When it was time for the Pokemon to battle in the gymnasium, he put on his headset back on, ignoring his Mew's pleas, and begins to confront the other Pokemon. On the night of Tuesday, Tyler began to feel the sudden rush of power as he wore his headset. Nobody knew that he wore that device. His hunger for power increased. With more greed and more hunger, he became more or less confident and more energetic than usual. He would wear it every day and every night, giving no rest to his Pokemon whatsoever. Many months go by and Professor Oak is called to see the matters of what's going on in Tyler's home in Vermilion City. He enters the home, what the professor sees as odd to him. The house is vacant. Nothing out of the ordinary, sure, but just the silence that seemed to be a bit ominous. He ventures through the empty home, sees nothing unusual, and then he begins to smell something rotten. No, it wasn't just the smell, but a putrid stench coming from upstairs. He then goes up and smells something in the family's bedroom. Professor Oak then sees the door was creaked open and opens it, enters, and sees something horrible. Tyler's parents were found dead in the closet, possibly they're placed there to hide suspicion. The professor cuffed his mouth, and then he hears a noise outside. He then walks over to the window and opens it. He then peered out to see Tyler's Mew flying in the sky. The Pokemon's facial expression seems to show some sort of insanity in its eyes. As Professor Oak walked out, he followed Mew straight to the forest and saw Tyler. Here's his appearance. It's horrible. Tyler's entire body showed very little muscle mass and almost skeletal. His skin was pale and his clothes were withered, and he was moving his arms and looking around for his goggles, seeing though few Mew's eyes as usual. He sank through his clothes, providing that it had and he had never taken a bath in months. This gave Professor Oak a shudder, and he thought, what the hell? He then called an ambulance and they took Tyler to the hospital, kicking and screaming as he was strapped onto the gunnery. Of course, Professor Oak kept the gear onto his lab and accused Dr. Rathbone for being such a soulless monster who didn't give a damn about Pokemon living, breathing creatures. In court, he argued that trainers don't need robots, and this was a madman could be sent to an insane asylum for the crimes he committed against the Pokemon world. Later on in the courtroom, Dr. Jonathan Rathbone was found guilty and was sentenced to 25 years in prison. He'd be eligible for parole in 2018. Rathbone's devices on trainers were either burned into fire pits or still kept, but only used appropriately as tools instead of playful things. The Pokemon that trainers were controlling was now in their own controlled bodies. As for the human controls theirs. The events of Dr. Rathbone's experiment on trainers and the Pokemon's minds have been forgotten, and Tyler was placed in a mental hospital, where he still resides to this very day. And that, my little pretties, was Mind Games, a Pokepasta written by TheDarkCat97. My final thoughts on the story? Well, I could definitely say that this pasta was actually a pretty good pasta for what it is. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it was a really well made and really well done story. Basically, this is like portraying, humans, there's like this secret, crazy doctor who wants, these humans to control, the Pokemon, to control their Pokemon by using, technology and that. And this was really interesting to say the least. Now, I could definitely say that this story was actually, a pretty interesting one, but it was also messed up at certain parts. Like, it was really messed up seeing, Tyler, this protagonist, I guess you could say, Tyler or, he's going over and, doing this, kind of, controlling Mew, thinking, oh, I'm gonna be, evil. And, this professor guy, I think I kind of have a theory as to why but you guys definitely say, Dr. Jonathan Rathbone. He kind of wanted to, test this out, to certain people to see how they would react. And, it's possible that he could be mentally insane. It's probably why he was sent to prison and Tyler was sent to a mental asylum. That could be what I've seen, but I couldn't be wrong on that. I'm not really sure, but that could be what I'm seeing. But that's probably just me, but I'm not really sure. So I could definitely say that's definitely something I'm saying right now. So I could definitely say that the story itself was actually a pretty interesting one for what it is. I'm definitely not going to lie. This story actually portrayed pretty good concept for what it is. It's actually a pretty interesting story. I could definitely say that the story was actually pretty interesting. Like, I mean, there were some stories in there that some parts of it that kind of, had me confused. But there was definitely a very good concept. Now, the concept is good, I'm not going to lie. The Dark Cat did a great job with the concept, as well as the good grammar, the sentence structuring, the storyline. It's basically pretty good for what it is. Now, I could definitely, picture this, because, if this actually were to be the case for Pokemon, then it definitely would be, they would definitely get a lot of backlash if they did that. So that could be actually one of the reasons as to why, Pokemon are living creatures. And I could definitely say, I definitely have to say that I remember, this story, I kind of remembered, seeing it at one point, but I never had the time to sit there and narrate it till now. So that's actually one of the reasons why, I, didn't really, read this story till now. My God, I'm going to have to read more of the Dark Cat stories, because I haven't read any of his stories in a long time. I think the last time I read one of his stories was the Night in the Woods one. Yeah, Night in the Woods one. That was the one story that I definitely have to say. It's a pretty good pasta, I'm not gonna lie. It actually portrayed pretty good concept with, what the whole, thing is. It's a pretty good story for what it is. It definitely has a lot of time and effort. There's definitely lots of great concept with it. Though I could definitely say I do enjoy how this story went out. So that's definitely saying something right here. So, if I had to say one thing that I wasn't really crazy on, or one thing negative, is that it's a little confusing at times. I found this story to be a little confusing, partway through, why Tyler was, going through all this the way he did, why he wanted, more control of his Pokemon, Mew specifically. But, other than that being the case, it's just a little confusing at times. Like, this story was good, but there were parts of the story that was a little confusing. And, you know, that's just the only main negative. It's not a major one, but I just thought, you know, I'd point it out. Now, with that being the case, and with that being said, yeah. What did you actually think about this story? Pretty good pasta, not gonna lie. It's a pretty good one. One I could definitely say to the Dark Cat, you did pretty good. So, with that being the case, and with that being said, this is simply my own personal opinion, and if you happen to disagree with me, that's fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions regards to these creepypastas, and this is simply my own personal thoughts. My final rating of the story, 9 out of 10. I'm giving it a 9 because the concept was pretty well done and detailed. The grammar was well done and made. The whole storyline and everything about it seemed interesting. But the only thing that I wasn't really, you know, sure was that there were parts of the story that was a little confusing. Just a few parts that were a little confusing. So, of course, that was actually why this story was just a little all over the place. Like, not really all over the place, but it was just confusing at certain times. But, of course, with that being the case, and with that being said, what did you guys think about this, creepypasta? Or, well, yeah, creepypasta. Did you all enjoy it? Did you not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this story a lot better. Feel free to leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section down below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. If you happen to be brand new here on this channel, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell to when I upload so that you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro because I'm out of here, and I'll catch you all next time. Oh, and as always, please roll the outro because I'm